Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. We are joined today by Emelia Symington-Fedy. I'm so excited. Kevin Wilson is standing in for Kaylee, who has something else in her calendar, believe it or not. So I really appreciate Kevin for coming, appreciate Emelia for joining us from British Columbia, and all of you for coming today. I am going to switch my view. And I am going to share a land acknowledgement before I introduce Emelia officially and we get started. Junction Reads exists in Tekaronto, which for thousands of years has been the traditional land of the Wyandot, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Anishinaabe, including the Chippewas and Mississaugas of the Credit. Emelia joins us, as I said, from British Columbia, specifically the Secwepemc. This land is still home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we are very grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on their territory. Emelia, thank you so much for joining us.
I'm just giggling in the chats here. So nice to see you all. It's lovely to be in a virtual space. As we know, these spaces are real. These virtual spaces are real spaces.
Right.
I didn't know that 3 years ago, but I know that now, and it's great to be here.
I really appreciate you joining us and having to remember 6 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. Pacific time, and constantly reminding myself to put that in all of the social media stuff. It's just bananas.
And we have a massive storm happening right now, and it is gorgeous outside, like snow.
No, I love it.
Monster snowfall. But my mom used to say that sometimes the internet goes out when the weather's bad.
Okay, well,
so we'll see.
Fingers crossed that doesn't happen. Okay, so we are going to steal ideas from you. I would love for you to share with everybody what you're reading right now.
Okay, right off. Okay, so I'm trying to challenge myself right now. I'm reading, I'll show you the 2 books I'm reading.
Okay.
And I've never read 2 books at the same time before. My brain doesn't do that.
You're actually reading two at
I'm
the same time.
I'm switching back and forth, and I've never in my life done this, and I found it to be like very odd.
Yeah.
So there's Sheila Heti's A Pure Color and I'm going to tell you why I'm reading these in a minute. And then there's Patricia Lockwood's No One Is Talking About This. These are high art books.
Right.
Yeah.
2021 Booker Prize.
You have to have your brain on, like, to be reading these books. Like, you're not in bed chilling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be thinking when you're reading these books. And also, the narrative is not the through, right? It's not pulling you through with like, and then what happened?
Right.
And so
they're not skimmers. You can't.
No, it takes a lot of brain.
Yeah.
And I am a real, like, I guess, like, there's a class part of me who, grew up small town and wants to keep that in my voice and my literature, and wants to keep this kind of common language.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like to, fight high literary art, you have to read it and understand it and appreciate it. You can't just be like, I don't like books that are hard to read. So I'm reading them. They're hard to read and they're beautiful, and it's poetry, and it's so it's absolutely inspiring. But it takes a brain. Like, it's not, I'm not reading them at night before bed. Like, that's not working. Yeah, so that's what I'm reading right now. Back and forth. And
that's amazing.
If I want something to like really like chill out on, I'll be just listening to a podcast or something. That's going to be my go-to.
Yeah. No, for me, it's like the Hallmark movies, right? I have those same books, the ones that I mean, I don't necessarily skim, but I like to skim. Like I like to jump 40 pages and go, I wonder what's happening 40 pages from now, and then find out
Yeah.
and then go back. But
Yeah,
yeah,
not
I
to be
feel
too
like you can't
precious.
do that.
No, no, there's a sense of a preciousness, right? And
Yeah,
I don't want to be precious in my writing. But I also deeply respect high
the
art.
skill.
So,
Yeah,
little bit of both. That's me.
yeah, yeah. That's me too. I would say probably the want and desire to read uh like amazing deep literary fiction is in me, and so I do it all the time. But if I had my druthers, it would be probably Harlequins, like
Really? Okay, cool.
10 a week kind of thing,
Oh my
it is
gosh. Oh my gosh.
my
Okay.
my 20-year-old self.
Hmm.
I am excited to hear you read from this incredible memoir, which reads like a novel. It does not at all read like a memoir. I had to remind myself as I was reading it that it is in fact a memoir. I'm excited to hear you read from it. But before I do that, can I share your biography with everybody?
Hmm. Of course.
Because it's your biography. I stole it from your website. That's
Okay.
why. Emelia Symington-Fedy is an international theater creator and the co-founding co-artistic director of The Chop. With over 25 playwriting credits spanning her career, Emelia is also an ongoing contributor to CBC Radio, telling personal stories about motherhood, addiction, grief, her body, and other forbidden topics for almost 20 years. In performance and writing, Emelia explores dark matters using comedy as her weapon of choice. A social acupuncturist, she's known to poke where it hurts to create healing. An alumna of Studio 58 and the SFU Writer Studio and graduate program, Emelia has lectured at Simon Fraser University and the University of British Columbia, and also runs creativity workshops and retreats. She lives in the woods with her family.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, she sounds really interesting.
I mean, if I thought that person's 45, I'd be like, yeah, that's not a waste. That
Yeah.
some stuff has been happening. That's all
Yeah.
right. That's reasonable.
She
Absolutely reasonable,
lived a
Amelia.
life, done some great stuff.
Yeah, I was 25 years in Vancouver and have just moved back home to where
Mhm.
I was raised. And I was the person who would never do that. And I
Yeah.
did it. And oh, I just get weepy thinking about how lucky I am to be back here on this land
Yeah.
that my mom brought us to. And so I didn't know about the sense of home,
Hmm.
that feeling of the place of having a home. I didn't know it until I came back to it and went, oh,
Right.
that's what this feels like. I feel like I'm home. Like I had to be there as a middle-aged woman with children to
Mhm.
realize that that was a feeling. That was a
Yeah.
real feeling.
Yeah. I can't imagine moving back to my small town, but I feel like I would feel that. I would feel um, that I was returning to something important, But anyway, I won't talk. Can you read? Will you read something
Yeah,
from this for
sure,
me?
sure. I just want to say hi to all these faces here that I'm seeing. So Marianne, thank you for being here. Nice to see you. Carly, I love you. Nice to see you. Erin, so nice to see you. Michael, thank you for being here. I'm liking the back. I'm liking your bookshelf in the back. Anna, I like your sweater. Nice to see you. And your bookshelf too. Tanya, I can't see you, but I appreciate that you're here. And Kamaljeet and Marnie, that is a picture of Salish, and Salish is welcome. D. Rutherford, nice to see you. Thank you for being here. And Safia, no need to have the cameras on. I just wanted to just appreciate you all.
That's so
I'm
nice.
I'm in my I'm in a suite above my garage right now. It's a residency for writers. If anyone ever needs a place to come and write, it's a free residency that Canada
Wow.
Council has funded. Like I've written grants and gotten funding from Canada Council to come and be and write and get the necessary work done. So all are welcome. Feel free to find out more about the residency on
On your website?
the website. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I wrote this book was because I got a free residency.
Right.
I had someone give me a cabin to write in without people around, and that is the only reason. That's the only reason we're here right now. And so
That's
then,
amazing.
happy to now have the opportunity to pass it on, and so that's the space I'm in right now, and I'm very happy to be here. And so I am going to read. I'm making an assumption that all of you have read the book or started the book. And I've decided I'm going to read from the beginning. It's not a part I've read before, but it's a part I really loved writing. So I want to read it because this part made me feel, this was the moment my life became my life. It changed into what I had always hoped it would be. So we've met on the railroad tracks. The girls have all started to walk down the tracks towards town. The end of the line is, "Come on, you bastard," Erin says. Oh, sorry, Bugsy. Her real name's Erin. Ooh, don't I just gave you don't get me sued. We won't say her last name. "Come on, you bastard," Bugsy said, raising her eyebrows, then turning to run. "We've got a whole day to waste." So I'm just going to read, have a sip of tea, eat a cookie. It's like maybe 8-10 minutes. I'm not quite sure. And maybe write in the comments if you can't hear me or if anything weird's happening. If a bird had been flying above us on that first blazing summer day we met, it would have seen one girl in the lead, about a block ahead of the others, another girl running to catch up, and 3 girls trailing behind, moving away from the protection of the trees and heading towards flat, open land. The bird would have seen our bodies gathering together in different formations, then spreading out again, sometimes on the rails, sometimes moving straight down the center of the tracks, always commanding the entirety of the space and staying within yelling distance. "First thing to know is adults don't use the tracks," Ames yelled. "So if you see one," Bugsy said, "it's a pervert or the high school counselor." "But way up here," I asked, pointing to the sidewalk below. "It's faster than taking the streets," Bugsy said. "Slash through the brush, cut through a backyard, jump on the tracks, get where you're going, you know," Ames yelled. "Gives us more time to donkey around." As we got closer to the main street, the gravel embankment that kept us above the town started to grade down. We were still elevated over the cars and the few people walking along the sidewalk, but the trees had thinned considerably, so we had to rely on large blooming bushes on either side of the embankment to travel undetected. Soon, there were no hiding spots left, and we cut directly through the center of Armstrong on a swath of exposed rail, almost level with the stores and businesses coming into view. The girls pointed out the important landmarks as we passed by them. Shortstop, where the slushes were bought, the post office, an old brick building that had an awning in the shape of a cowboy hat. Tucker's was the diner they went to for fries and gravy on Fridays after school. There was a 7-Eleven in the distance. On our right, we passed a grain silo. "Sometimes Max lets us listen to her sing in there," Ames said. "My voice sounds clearest at night," Max said. There seemed to be one of everything in this small downtown core. One pizza place, one pharmacy attached to one Video Express, one grocery store, one gas station, one junk shop, all sharing the same country and Western theme. "If we'd taken the road, we'd still be back by the post office right now," Bugsy said. And we'd probably have run into some dink dog like Eli or Tyson. Up here, there's not so much bullshit to deal with, you know? In what felt like only a few blocks, the building stopped. A small bottle depot was on our left, and then open field. The town noises got quieter. The birds went back to calling out to each other. We were alone again, traveling alongside marshland and willow trees. At what seemed to be a pre-agreed upon location, all four girls stopped and circled a few times, like dogs do before finding rest. One by one, we sat down along the rails, now on the opposite side of town from where I'd met them less than an hour ago. I was pushed to the center, my thigh pressing into Crystal's. She lit another smoke. As if unable to be still for more than a second, Ames jumped up as soon as Bugsy sat down. She stepped onto a rail and started to balance. If I fall, Chad Chud is going to French me, she said. Chad Chud is a chode, Bugsy said, focused on the ingrown hair on her knee. The girls laughed in concert again. There was something about making these sharp, harsh sounds together that seemed to excite them further. It reminded me of a crow's warning cry. Don't get too close or we'll split your eardrums with joy. Watching Ames balance, Club Monaco, sweater tied around her waist, logo facing out, it hit me. An hour ago, not only did these girls not have names, but the tracks didn't exist. And now I was in the middle of it all. We'd had friends in Ashton Creek, but the feeling, one I could only identify now that it was gone, was of goodwill. Letting us share in their Sunday family dinners and butchering days was an act of kindness for us to be grateful for. With these girls, I wasn't being included. Instead, I felt part of. A bit lower in the sky now, the sun was softer, and the only sounds came from Max snapping twigs into small piles. What's your thing? Max asked, glancing up with those ice blue eyes. I wasn't sure what she meant. A thick dandelion was growing out of a crack between a tie and its ballast. Common, I thought, but then I felt bad. The plant didn't know it was the weed. I like to read, I said. I read a lot of books. Not what do you like to do, Ames said, sliding into the conversation. Who are you going to be? She asked. For example, Bugsy's going to have twins and marry her high school sweetheart. Bugsy crossed her eyes like a nerd. I'm going to have two sets of twins, marry my high school sweetheart, and become a teacher for kids with learning disabilities. I smiled at Ames, this frizzy-haired, chicken-legged girl. I'm moving out of Armstrong, never coming back, said Crystal, running her hand through her hair, making it spike. That's not doing something. That's not doing something, Max said as she placed the sticks on top of each other, making a log cabin. Well, not doing Armstrong is my goal, Crystal said. Max is going to be an opera singer, Ames said, obviously. Holy crapola, Max jumped up, ignoring Ames. I knew it. We all rubbernecked. I knew you from somewhere. Where? I asked, relieved for a distraction from the interrogation. You were the white rabbit in Alice in Wonderland. She was right. I had been. Mom had driven me to rehearsals at the Ashton Creek Community Hall 3 times a week for months. Even the morning Lucky got hit by a logging truck, after she pried Graham off his body, dug a hole, and buried the dog, she got me to dress rehearsal on time. We performed the show for 5 nights, and each performance I got more laughs. But then Mom told us we were moving, and I'd forgotten all about it. You were good, Max said. She was real good. You're going to be an actress then, Bugsy said. Actor, Max said. She's an actor. Don't be sexism. I looked at Crystal, hoping her cigarette wasn't out yet. If I took a drag and started to cough, the focus would shift. You did the splits, Max said. I nodded. It was like weird to do the splits, Max said, but she got a big laugh. Dad called it absurdist comedy, which I don't get, but you were hilarious. I looked to my jelly shoes, covered in dust and grime. And when I lifted my head, I caught the girls making an agreement. Ames sidled up to Bugsy, her movement suddenly sleek. She wrapped her fingers around Bugsy's neck, and Bugsy leaned into Ames' butterfly palms as she ground her feet into the gravel. Ames looked at me and smiled. Then she began to push hard and slow on Bugsy's windpipe. Max started to count. Crystal watched. I'd not seen anything like this happen before, but their comfort within the motions put me at ease. At the 30-second mark, Bugsy's eyes rolled back into her head. She crumpled sideways. She wasn't faking it, because just before she went limp, there was a flash of panic in her eyes. She dropped onto the gravel with no great drama, and Ames followed her body down, placing her head gently on the ground. It was elegant to watch, this losing of consciousness. We gathered above Bugsy, her eyes half closed with a bit of the whites peeking out, and we waited. There was a moan and a twitch at her lips. Her limbs shook and tensed, and she laughed at how her body could move without her permission. Rolling over, Bugsy crawled onto her hands and knees, and we all clapped as she toddled a few steps down the rails like a baby enjoying her lack of oxygen high. After Bugsy could stand upright, Ames turned to Max, who told me that she was so good at fainting, she usually preferred to choke herself out. Max leaned into Ames. We watched the choreography unfold again to its climax, one long sigh of release. Her face had gone pale, her jaw slack. Did Ames go too far? Did Bugsy count too long? I looked to Crystal and she brought my attention back to Max, eyes glassy, with us again. A stunning performance. I dropped to my knees, wanting to help her stand if I could. It was Ames' turn next. She was nervous, so Bugsy and Max had to pin her arms down across the tracks. Forcing her didn't seem as much fun. She dropped too quickly, which meant she probably faked it, but it's hard to tell what a body does honestly once it's down. Before we could surround her, Ames jumped to standing and took a bow. Crystal and I looked to each other again, and she shook her head in a private no motion, meaning she wasn't going to partake, which meant I didn't have to either. So I clapped even harder for Ames. From the looks collected between the girls, whatever ritual they just completed, my response had satisfied them. It's strange, Ames said, squeezing in to sit between Crystal and me with a new level of comfort. There's only been 4 of us since kindergarten. And now that you've shown up, all of a sudden we're 5. That's a club. It's going to be a lot easier for us in high school now, don't you think? Yes, I said. It is strange and easier. I stood up, uncomfortable with being wanted as much as I had want. I need a brain freeze, I said, motioning back toward town. Come on, skanks, Ames said with a laugh. I got all the change from my mom's purse. She started to run. It was probably my imagination, but as the girls turned, the space above our heads started to glisten like soap in a bubble, but with more density to it. It was as if I could reach out and grab the shimmering air, pull it down to wrap it around us like a blanket or a shield. But I didn't, deciding there'd already been enough weirdness for one day. Wait, Max said. She was looking down on her tiny log house, not yet finished. Let's wreck it before someone else does. She ground the tiny building into the gravel with her sneaker. We ran after Ames, our feet pounding the planks while our t-shirts flapped in the breeze made by our own motion. The shimmering wasn't spoken of, and I don't know if anyone else noticed it, but I could still feel its canopy as we ran back along the rails toward town, not stopping, fueled by some sort of chimerical new magic.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy that you wrote that scene. That was familiar and warm and beautiful in so many ways. This question was later in my questions, but given that you introduced us to everyone, I wanted to know if you're still friends with everybody and how much they participated in the reconstruction of these memories.
So, okay.
And is Max an opera singer? Just
okay. So, okay. Okay, first question, are we still friends? No, we're not friends. We love each other. We care deeply. It's almost like too much pain. We've tried to be friends and it's awkward.
Right.
They were all part of the book. I sent them all the drafts. They gave me permission continually along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Two haven't read it. They don't, it's too painful. It's too hard. It's too
Mm-hmm.
close. They don't want to read it. They're like,
Yeah.
why would I read? Sorry.
Yeah.
Right. Now, another one read it. Bugsy read it.
Yeah.
She's a big fan. She said, "You make my mom look like a bitch." Like she loved it. She's like, "Yeah." I thought that was so funny. She said, "Oh, you kept all the really bad stuff out." Like, you know what I mean? So some people think it's like, whoa, this is quite horrible. And then from one of the members of the group, she's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, all the really bad stuff is, which is true. I tried to make the trauma be pretty mundane, pretty daily. The more kind of heavier stuff, I did actually leave out because the point isn't the heavier stuff. We all know the heavier
Right.
stuff sucks. It
Yeah.
was to talk about the daily mundane stuff. So long story short, no, we're not friends. I love them with all my heart. They're my family. They love me.
Yeah.
We have great respect and care for each other.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which,
And Max is she sings.
yeah.
She's a successful musician. She's exactly what we always thought she would be. She's just too smart for her own good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's a genius. She's got a double doctorate.
Oh, wow. Jeez
Like
Louise.
just yeah.
That's a bit too far.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
one's fine.
I know. She's got
One
two
is
doctorates.
fine. Yeah. These girls go through a tremendous amount of stuff, a uncomfortable amount of stuff, a maddening few episodes. I would love to talk about the episodes with all the parents in the living room, but I'm not going to because I want to talk. You had said to me in an email that you wanted to talk about girl joy that comes before the gaze shows up. And I would like for you to go into that by also talking to me about the hilarious, super honest, super horny, super conquest, uh, conquesting, what's the verb? What's the word for that? Life that these girls were living, right? They needed to be chosen. They wanted to have these things happen to them. So I would love for you to talk about that. And it, like your words, girl joy.
In relationship to the girl joy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel, okay, so there's a brief moment in people's lives. I can speak to being a girl, but I'm sure men have similar of just being free, just being
Yeah.
free of, I see it with my kids right now. There's no one's looking at them and they don't care. And they are wild. And so I had not seen that shown socially for girls
Yeah.
in any sort of media. Basically Stand By Me, right? The movie. When I was 12, I watched the movie and wept and thought, I want that movie for a girl. Like I want to see girls like that with leeches all over themselves and like
Yeah.
puking contests. And because it's the same thing. We just socially, yeah, we don't get to see the wildness. It's like weaselly, animally insane, like crawling out of windows that are like, the size of the
Yeah.
TV screen and like ripping yourselves up and like covered in bruises and throwing eggs and shit, throwing human shit at each other. Like, what is
Oh
going
my God,
on?
that's me.
Right? What is happening? And that was real, right? That all is real. And I wanted to see, like, were we nuts?
Yeah.
No, it seems like that's a human experience for children in general. So my goal in this book, if I were to distill it, is that moment of girl joy, that brief, less than a year I want to frame it and
Yeah.
celebrate it. So as an adult woman, I could try to just get some of that back. Like,
Yeah.
do that, have that feeling again. And also for like in, the last line of the book, I think it's, we were everywhere.
Mhm.
That we all have this web of similar experience of profound freedom and joy at a certain
Mhm.
age that's very short-lived and lasts a very short period of time. And the most political thing I could do is to remember it and then engage with it and feel it again. Like, that was the most powerful I'd ever been in my life. I didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
So if at 45 I could grocery shop with the same vibe that I had on those tracks with those girls, that would be a political, that
It
would
would
be
be
active.
amazing. It would be amazing.
So that was, yeah. So yeah, girl joy is the centered theme. Although, and I appreciate that that was noticed. It's buried, and as for folks who have read the book, it's a lot of it's heavy as hell.
Mhm.
But girl joy is the point.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard because when you look back in a 2024 context to a completely different context, there are moments where you're just like, oh crap, that's like really shitty. Oh my gosh. But then to be able to escape into these characters, I felt for me was really freeing to be able to remember my childhood and those moments when you really wanted disgusting things to happen to you in like a really weird way, like you're just like, and you look back and you go, Allison, that's gross. What were you thinking?
Like,
But
who jumped off? Who intentionally tried to break their own leg? Raise your hand.
my
Like,
brother and I on a
right?
daily basis, like
Like, tried
a
to, like,
daily basis.
the kids are weird as hell.
Yeah. But while I was reading this book, I was away writing with a few girlfriends, and not because of the book, but because of a movie we watched. We started talking about this, not necessarily the gays in the context of the Barbie movie, but that doesn't matter. About the gays, and
And when
I
you're saying gays, you
yeah,
don't mean homosexual men. You
no,
mean
not the gays,
the
not
gays.
no, the gays.
Sorry.
I I for me, and I have to read what I wrote here because it's like a double thing. So when we were talking, I said and thought about it in Skid Dogs and these bullying moments and these moments when the girls were just so horrible to other girls and horrible to each other. And I had said to them that the worst I've ever felt about myself was because of something a woman said to me. And the best I've ever felt is because of something a woman has said to me. And I had the intimacy of these friendships struck me in that way, that these girls, the five of them, but also the outside girls, the girl that was slut shamed, and like these girls had the potential to do the worst damage to each other than Trent and any of the other losers in the book. You know what I mean? I wanted you to talk about that, your thoughts on
Well,
girlhood, womanhood, and our
uh,
relationship with each other.
I mean, and I would say, like, we kind of did. Like, I mean, we did break each other's hearts. Like, we aren't friends anymore.
Mhm.
Crystal, uh, I broke her heart. Like, I smashed her heart. She
Mhm.
cared. She loved me, and
Mhm.
I didn't freaking pick up on it. And I treated her like shit,
Mhm.
and I broke her heart. And to this day, she's uncomfortable around me, and she's hurt. She is hurt
Yeah.
by my behavior. There are girls that we went to high school with. So the brew crew were the ones who scared us, but then we became the brew crew, right? Like,
Right.
we became the girls that were scary. And there were a few comments that I saw on Facebook about when the book was coming out, that was like, how dare she write about, like, I think they thought it was kind of a happy-go-lucky book. Like, how dare she
Right.
write this? Like, she was terrible to me. She was mean to me. That woman was mean to me.
Right.
And I'm like, read the book. Like, no shit. Yeah,
Right.
that's the point.
Right.
I acknowledge that. Um, so yeah, we do the most damage, don't we?
Mhm.
We do the most damage. And then I think maybe as adults, we repair that. Maybe that's the hope. Maybe as um, adult humans, there's the grief of the damage that was done. It's
Mhm.
the foot soldiers, right? We're
Yeah.
all, and it's nobody's fault. We are all foot soldiers of capitalism and imperialism and all the systems we live under.
Mhm.
And so we have to survive. And I was like horrifically bullied in my old school. And so I then came into this new school and did what I could to gain my power. And that meant like give away my body and be
Yeah.
cruel to other girls.
Mhm.
Um, sorry, what was the question?
No, that's it. I think that's it. You essentially just validated my super
Yeah.
intelligent thought,
Okay.
and I
Yeah. I mean,
appreciate it. No.
and but here's the thing, right? So when I went into that classroom
Yeah.
20 something years later, I mean, they seemed smarter.
Right.
And when I talk to girls now, teenagers now, they seem smarter. Like this one
Mm.
teenager read the book and she said to her mom, she said, "Oh, mom, like you guys had it so hard." Like she really felt bad for us. She's like, "I can't believe you would have sex even if you didn't want to." Like that
Yeah.
was just, and for her, she's like that that thought would not enter her mind.
Yeah.
So might it have be changing a little bit? I'm not sure. Maybe it depends, you know, if what small town you come out of.
Mhm.
Um, Ironically, I've moved back to the exact freaking town. My children are going to go to the same high school. It's mind
Bananas.
blowing.
Yeah.
What, and I'm going to see what is there a difference? What's the difference here?
Yeah. The difference for me, having raised three kids, the difference for me is I look back on the stuff that I did and I think the reason that the kids don't do that stuff now is because I'm like, I'm gonna kill you if you do that stuff. Like if you do even remotely close to the shit that I did when I was a kid, I'm gonna kill you. And that's the end of like, so I think that they wouldn't even think about doing it because, then they have to look at us and see this disappointment and, whatever, maybe. And that's not saying that there aren't kids out there who are, living the freedom and living the risky joy that we had as kids. But so you mentioned Crystal, and there's a section of the novel which I really, really loved. This section when Crystal's not in school, she's off for a week, and you and Crystal write these letters to each other. In one of the letters, you say to Crystal, "How is it decided what becomes memory?"
Mm.
Which I thought is not only super important for this book, because as you say in the opening of the book, that it is essentially like a reconstruction of truth. It's not 100% accurate. It's not, a film being
Mhm.
transcribed. Um, so I wanted to talk to you about that, because it's not the only time in the novel where you talk about memory and you talk about how these experiences are going to be remembered, or, how people will look back on this moment. I wanted to talk to you about that in sitting down and writing how you
Well, and
reconstructed.
so okay, so to be totally straight up honest with y'all, I mean, it is all true. It is all pretty much real. Like I those words, I mean, are they the exact sentences? No, probably not. But like I bent down at Crystal's window under the truck tire, our fingers touched. I couldn't get the manila envelope through. I mean, it was word for word true what happened. We wrote each other these beautiful love letters. I gave them to Ford.
Mhm.
Like if you asked me about anything in this book, like, was that true? The answer is yes, it was true.
Yeah.
Like, did it happen? Yes, it happened. Did it happen in that place or on that timeline or with that person? That's when I start to mix things up,
Mm-hmm.
make things safe for other people so they can't be identified. But
Right.
every action did happen. Now, you're asking like
How did you
how
construct that? How did you sit down as a writer, like at like a, human person sitting at a computer, and how did you think to yourself, this is how I'm going to construct it?
I
Or
think,
did you just start
oh,
typing?
yeah, I mean, so that's a great question. The book was a chapter. It started out as a chapter of the girls meeting on the railroad tracks. So
Mhm.
I had that feeling, that sense of the first time I met them. And I'm an overwriter. I wrote 200,000 words.
Holy moly.
Um, I wrote so much. So I think that's probably my answer is I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote everything that would come out. And I was very also devoted to the time of it
Mhm.
and getting myself into a zone. Like I lit a candle, I had a certain scent, I treated it like I'm going somewhere
Mhm.
in my writing, right? And it was alone in a room, don't mess with me.
Right.
I did not do it in public. I did not do it off the side of my desk. It was like, I might be sobbing here. Like, I don't know
Right.
what's going to happen. I'm going to go deep. I don't know what's going to come up. Here we go. And there was like in my iCal, it's like blocked off time. You do not mess with, I do not mess with this time. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
this is, I was very, very strict with myself and with my family about that.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think there was some trauma that came up. There was a profound amount of grief,
Mhm.
regret. There was I can't believe, there was shock and awe. And I just kept writing. And then the hard part was, what's the most important stuff?
Right.
Half the book has to go.
Right. Two-
Half,
200,000 words. I can't even.
over half the book has to get cut now.
Right, right. Tell me, please tell me because the scene where um you are called a skid dog.
Mhm.
I laughed out loud. I thought, did she really just make that up on the spot? And I want you to tell me that that's real, that that's an actual name
Oh
that,
yeah, yeah. We called each other skid dogs. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, it didn't happen
awesome.
exactly like that. But interestingly enough, though, Ames, I was talking to her on the phone, and this was just like, I don't know, a few years ago, and she goes, "Okay, see you later, skid dog." And I'm like, "What?" And she brought up the memory, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And she's like,
Yeah,
"Skid dog," and it just,
yeah,
holy shit. And I said, "You just gave me the title of the book, girl. Like,
yep.
that's so, I
Amazing.
can't, like, it just, so I had forgotten that's what we called each other, but that's what we call each other, skid dogs.
That's
Just, like, just,
random. Yeah, hilarious.
brew crew. The other team, the other girls were the brew crew. Like, it's just like trashy names you call each other.
Right, exactly. There's a couple of questions, Kevin. I don't want to go on with mine, just because it's 6:45 here. Uh,
Yeah, we have two questions in the chat. One from Aaron. Can you talk about including your mom's illness in this story about teenage girl joy?
Mhm.
mhm,
I mean, I look back on that poor girl. I feel so sad for her. Like, that was so hard for that poor girl. Oh my God. She was dealing with her mom's cancer. Her mom
mhm,
was a single mom. Her mom my mom put too much pressure on me to take care of her.
yeah,
Like, I see that now. God, that is a lot of pressure to put on someone, on the family. Like,
mm,
we took her. We took care of her emotionally and physically. And that caused, I would say, a lot of the reason why I needed to punch out and like be obliterated, right? I needed to obliterate myself and get some girl joy in.
Mhm.
I needed to have some heavy duty girl joy because home was heartbreaking and
Yeah.
terrifying. And also I was mad and I felt guilty about being mad and all of that. So the girl joy was almost sometimes, yeah, it was like the rebellion. Sometimes it was, we pushed a bit hard because we all needed to like puncture the valve.
Mhm.
So when we were together, we pushed a bit hard on each other and we were a bit hysterical. The word is hysterical. Like we would do like the sounds we would make, the jumping on each other, the puppy piling, there was the jumping on the trampoline and pushing each other as hard as we could. And like, it was extreme and hysterical, our physical presence with each other. Looking back on it now, I think it was because, yeah, we were trying to get out the terror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense, Aaron? Is that, yeah?
Yeah, about halfway through the book, page 160, you say, grown up, Emelia says, a normal person loves their dying mother. She doesn't hurt her. And I totally related to that, not just because of reading little Emelia's story leading up to that point, but all of us, right? Like this girl mom relationship is complicated, right? Like there's competition, there's living up to standards stuff. So I feel like you wrote that mom daughter with such like cruel honesty. It was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it was it's kind of, it's my apology and my amends is this book. It's a public amends of and a warning, if you have a mom and she drives you insane, do your best to love her anyway.
Yeah.
Like it's a bit of a warning cry. Like, but like I was 35 when my mom died, and she still drove me crazy. It was still hell. It was still it was so hard to be in a relationship with her. Would it have ever gotten better? I don't know. But through writing the book, like, man, I see like that her power, like she's a heroine. Like I see that now. And I like that's how she comes across as like a real power figure, not a victim.
Yeah, she does for sure. There's a question from Michael, and then I want to talk to you about the CHOP, your theater thing, and I want to talk to you about that audiobook too. But
Michael says, my question relates to place, Armstrong in particular, as a character in the life experiences of the girls.
Do you want to ask Michael? Take your mic off yeah.
So first of all, I want to say I read your book through audiobooks, and so you are a very familiar voice to me, and it's lovely to you. And I want to thank Erin because she made a brief reference in the social media feed to this, and I was desperately looking for something, and wow,
awesome.
And it's completely captivating and engaging. But I live in Sorrento, which, as you know,
yeah. Hi, hey neighbor.
Yeah, hi. And I'm interested in the way that Armstrong shaped it. So it wasn't just any old town, but it was that particular town and the railway tracks and the other features of that town that really shaped the life experiences of the girls. And wanted to hear a little bit more from you about how place becomes a character.
Oh, what a great question, Michael. Thank you for asking it. One of the things that got cut out of the 100,000 words that had to go was Armstrong, the place as a character, and my house as a place, as a character. The house I grew up in, it was a character. There was a draft where, yeah, it was a living, breathing character. So, I mean, what can I say about that? What can I say about it, except that it is, and you're right. And I could write a map and we could do a walking tour of Armstrong, and you'd see everything, like it's all there. You just see it. Like, I have a friend actually who lives right by the tracks where I took the photo. That's the cover of the book. And he's like, it's my backyard, dude. You took a picture of my backyard.
Yeah,
Like
no.
everything, we know exactly the road signs and the little hump on the hill that, you know, that protected us from view. And how odd must that be to be reading that and see and have that character also relate to you? Like, I had a girl reach out to me, a middle-aged woman reach out to me, and she said, I was your camp counselor. I was your camper that summer.
No, the camper?
I was one of them. I was in your cabin.
Okay, but she wasn't the camper.
She wasn't Autumn. I said,
No.
I said, are you Autumn? She said, she goes, you've just horrified my whole camp life. Like, you've wrecked it. Like, she's like, I danced to Stairway to Heaven beside you and your boyfriend that night. Like, it was so
Amazing.
close to home.
Yeah.
What must it be like? Those Armstrong girls. So I am getting a lot of Armstrong women contacting me going, oh my God, send me back to therapy. Thanks for, you should have warned me, like a little bit close to home, like the street signs, the house. We all know the big white house, the big fancy white house where the three rich football boys lived. Like, it's just so close.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say about it, Michael, except you're right. And how cool is that? How cool is it? A place can become a character. How beautiful is that?
Yeah.
Like, I hope people go to Armstrong and are like, they feel the spirit. And that would be a beautiful thing for me, because there was a darkness that overtook Armstrong for years. And if in any way, you know, you go to the IPE and there's the fairy lights and there's the wheel, and if any way you walk those tracks and there's a breath of positive energy and like good thinking, like that's my hope for Armstrong. Because it's I go to Taylor's Spot every Halloween and I sit there for an hour or two, and it doesn't seem to be it seems to be kind of like just a dark mark, you know, like it
hasn't become a happy collection of people going and memorializing her.
or honoring. Yeah. Like, it
Yeah.
seems like people don't even really know.
Right.
Like, there was like, you know, there was trick-or-treaters. There's always trick-or-treaters coming by, and I, you know, I sit there and there's just no real, like, so maybe that's a good thing. I've gone off track here, but point being, the people who live there remember the character and remember what that was like. And I hope, even especially for, you know, Taylor's mom, Marie, that maybe there's a sense of resonance or respect for her and the town she still lives in.
Yeah. That I think comes across in reading the book. I totally see Armstrong as this thing that carries the weight of all the memories and all the things that happened to everybody there. But I also see that it's not defined by the people. It's not defined by those memories. It's not defined by the things that happened there. Because as a reader who grew up in a small town on the other side of Canada, it exists for me too, right? Like, Armstrong exists in me too. So I love that. I love the question, and I love thinking about places as characters in books. But I think you did a great job of it not being defined by Taylor's death, not being defined by the actions of the boys or the,
Mm.
brutality of the words spoken by the girls. Like it gets to live on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're close to the finish now. So I'm going to ask you, I want to talk about the audiobook, but I also want to talk about the CHOP, which is an incredible theater that you are artistic director at. So I'm going to let you choose which one you want to talk about.
Oh, the audiobook.
The audiobook, Trying to Be Good, The Healing Powers of Lying,
Oh,
Cheating,
that
Stealing,
audiobook.
and Drugs.
Okay, let's go back in time.
Oh my God. When I read it and I did a little dive and read the synopses and I was like, oh, I need to get this audiobook, I think.
So did you listen to Trying to Be Good after you listened to Skid Dogs?
No, I haven't listened to it. I read Skid. I do not have an oral
Okay.
talent. I don't have the talent to
Mhm.
OURAL take things in. So I held off buying the ebook, but I am interested to hear your experience of writing that.
Okay, so we're talking about the first audiobook I did called
Yes.
Trying to Be Good, The Healing Powers of Lying, Cheating, Stealing, and Drugs.
Yeah.
I think there's two people on this call that have listened to that audiobook. I think Carly and Kamaljit and Marnie have listened to that audiobook. So Michael! Well, I'm more interested in, I would be fascinated to hear. What's my question?
Michael's
Okay,
take on it.
what Trying to Be Good tried to do is it's basically a person, I have no idea how to write a book at this point in my life.
Yeah.
But I'm a storyteller, right? So that's what I do. I'm doing storytelling.
Yeah.
And it's about my addiction to self-help. Basically,
Yeah.
it's about the absolute obsession and addiction to bettering myself
Yeah.
and the cost of that. And it was a project that I did on my own and I worked my ass off for, and it was what catapulted me into writing this book.
Yeah.
I even considered taking it down off the internet because I thought, well, is it good enough? Does it stand up? So Carly, Michael, Kamaljit, Marnie, what do you think in comparison? If you've done both audiobooks, I would love it. I would love an opinion from one of you.
Hello. This has been so amazing. I love listening to your voice. Emelia knows this because I tell her all the time, but so I'm already primed to be like loving you speaking a story, period. But I think, and it's been a while since I listened to Trying to Be Good, but I think that what was said at the beginning about Skid Dogs feeling like a novel is the difference between Trying to Be Good and Skid Dogs. Like it's a different, like I felt like my experience of Trying to Be Good was like being with you in a different kind of way. Like I'm in the car with you and we're just like ah, gah, 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 or whatever. Versus Skid Dogs is like I'm watching the artful movie of your life.
Yes. It's a casual, it's a
Yeah.
more piecemeal.
It's like raw.
It's more raw and just kind of like it's sound designed, so like there's a lot of sound, it's kind of a movie, an audio movie. Okay, Michael, what was for you listening to both?
So I listened to Skid Dogs first, and
Yeah.
I've inherited from the Labradoodle that I live with, Phoebe, a squirrel brain, which means when I see something or hear something I like, I immediately chase after it. So and I'm sorry, this is so totally superficial, but I like your voice, and obviously completely different, but in engaging in a different way. I have to say that in terms of Skid Dogs, I really, really liked. I haven't read the physical book, and I really liked the fact I didn't realize until I had sort of gotten a bit into it that it was a memoir, and I thought, a memoir is like it's like storytelling, and oral is the best way, to sort of gather people together and share stories. So yeah, I don't have anything profound to say about.
Similar to maybe what Carly said, like it's
Yeah.
feel free, y'all's feel free to go and check out Trying to Be Good. It's a bit more slapdash. It's a bit more rough and tumble, let's say.
Yeah.
But yeah, because Skid Dogs is I went to school and I spent 6 years crafting the shit out of every single sentence and word. I was tireless. I mean, I never would have written a book if I knew how hard it was to write a book. I never would have written a book.
Right.
Thank God I didn't know.
That's amazing. So I think your answer is that it needs to stay up. You can't take
I
it
guess
down
so.
from the
Sure.
internet.
Why not? Sure.
Yes.
I mean, and it's like we scrub ourselves, right? Like we scrub ourselves so we look all good online and stuff. But it's like, also like I've been an artist for 25 years. Like I've made some crappy stuff and some good stuff, and feel free to just find it and see it. And, like we don't need to just start with the published shiny thing. So
Artistry is an evolution.
mhm.
It really and truly is. Like being a human being. You don't wake up knowing all the stuff that we know when we get old.
No, and it's nice to follow that and see someone's growth as an artist, right? You'll probably see my growth as a writer and as a storyteller in the first one to the second one, because Skid Dogs was so what's the word? Just rigor. I was so rigorous,
Focus,
just so
yeah.
so rigorous. My next book, the words are, Erin knows this, easy, fast, and fun.
That's the title?
No, I want the experience to be easy, fast, and fun.
Right. Good luck with that.
Like this one was a slog. This one was emotionally taxing. It was a journey.
Yeah.
It was a gift. It was like, I am doing service. This is my service. This is my story. That's my duty to tell. And it's my offering.
Yeah.
And my next book, I want to be less taxing on me emotionally.
Yeah. Fun. I am so grateful for everything that you've shared today. This was an incredible conversation of joy. We had some girl joy here, I think. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing words and sharing your insights and all of your knowledge with us. We have a copy of Skid Dogs from Douglas and McIntyre to raffle off, so somebody can win a copy. If you already own a copy and you don't want Kevin to draw another name, you can nominate a winner. You can send me the name and address of someone who you think would enjoy a copy of this book. Kevin, I will pass it over to you to do the raffle.
Okay, of the people online, the winner of the draw is Jackie Wilcox.
Where in the heck is Jackie?
She here?
I don't see her name in the participants, but she was in the registered names, which is what I was working from.
Okay. I will
pick again. Pick
again. Yeah.
Let's pick it from
Okay.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because I don't think that she came.
No, you have to. Yeah.
She purchased a ticket, but I don't.
Okay. Next name, Erin Stodola.
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 Stodola. Can you pass that on to someone?
I definitely will. Thank you.
Okay, so if you can send me an email, it's Junction Writes, not reads, WRITES @gmail.com. And just send me the name and the mailing address, and I'll get it off to Karina at Douglas and McIntyre, and she can send that off.
Allison?
Perfect. Thank
Well,
you.
I mean, I just want to say to folks, like, we live in a really small country, slash continent, and every single thing you say helps, honestly. Like, this is all word of mouth. This is all, like, this is how things get bought and made popular, is through friends. And so, like, you telling people is really meaningful to me. It's absolutely what I rely on. I am a small town Canadian author who wants it to be turned into a really big blockbuster film, as it should be.
Stand by me for girls.
So, so yeah, I just really, I really appreciate you being here, and know that your word of mouth and you saying something like on social media and stuff, like, makes a freaking huge difference. Like, I got the quote from, I don't know, did y'all know I got a quote from Ani DeFranco?
I know, I saw that. That's
I
incredible.
got a quote from freaking Ani DeFranco. So when I got my Ani DeFranco quote, I got back on the bestseller list.
Nice.
Because, you know, everyone got excited for a couple of weeks about that quote. So, like, there's these little, you know, blips and waves and stuff in it. It really freaking matters. And like, I don't make art like no one's watching. I am making it for you, like you're watching, and I want you to like it.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
That's
get
why I'm
that.
making it. I'm making it for you, and I hope that it's of value.
Yeah,
Thank you for being here.
it is. It was an incredible read. Thank you so much again. You can find out more about Emelia at emeliasymingtonfedy.com. You can buy the book. Kevin has put in the chat directly through Douglas and McIntyre or at your favorite indie bookstore. And that's it. If you're in Toronto, or if you want to join us on Zoom for our in Toronto event, we're going to be at Type Books Junction in Toronto with Safia Fazlul, Amy Jones, and Anuja Varghese. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a
Go
good
enjoy.
night. Thank
Go
you.
enjoy the Super Bowl.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Kevin, thank you so much. Emelia, thank you so much.
Thanks,
My pleasure.
everybody.
Just putting Junction Read's contact info in the chat now.
Hi there, you cuties. There's
Thank
there's
you.
Aw.
Take
Yeah,
care.
and so, and you can all be my friend, Emelia SF. That's where I spend my time on Instagram, and I like making new friends.
Nice. Thank you.
Thanks, Marianne. Thanks, Erin. Thanks, Anna. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Safia. Thanks, Tanya. Thanks, Allison. Thanks, Kamaljeet and Marnie.
Love ya.
Love to you all.
Bye, everybody. Have a good night.